Very good morning to all of you. Assalamu alaikum. So, yesterday we were discussing the finalization of your report, how you can write your report after completing the entire research work, data collection, experimentation, or anything else. But another important issue, which is nowadays very important, that the ethical issues in research, that has been seen that the researchers are using the others' work, or the researchers are manipulating the data. The researchers are also paraphrasing the text of the other published work. That is unethical. So, what ethics are involved in the research to be discussed today? First, you would like to know what is publication ethics. The publication ethics refers to the set of principles, guidelines aimed at maintaining integrity, transparency of work, and accountability in scholarly publishing. So these ethical standards are designed to ensure that the research is conducted and published in a responsible and a fair manner, fostering trust and credibility in academic work. So your work which you are doing in your research should be your original work. It should not be copied from anywhere else except those which you are taking the reference from the others' work, like the review of literature. In the part of the review of literature, you can use the others' work, but you have to give your own observation on the work of others. That is important, that what you have learned from the work of the previous researchers. So what you have observed, that is the important part which you have to mention in your research. You cannot copy anything from directly to your own work, your own thesis. So when most people think of the research ethics, they think about issues that arise when research involves human and animal subjects. So in some researches, the animals are also banned. In scientific researches, in medical researches, the use of animals is not allowed. And if you are using that, that is also unethical. So while these issues are indeed a key part of the research ethics, there are also wider issues about standards of conduct, and these include the importance of publishing findings in a transparent way. Your findings which you are presenting after completing your research, that is to be true. That should not be any other works or represent the work of another, or there should not be any similarity. So when we check the plagiarism, there is a similarity index, similarity card they show in a different colors. आप कोई plagiarism कराते हैं किसी का, तो वो जो उसकी report आती है, तो it shows in a different colors. So that is the similarity of the work which has already been there on the net, or it is already available. So when we talk about the key aspects of publication ethics, the first and the most important is the honesty and integrity in publishing. The authors must present their work truthfully, avoiding fabrication, falsification, or manipulation of data instead of going for survey, you are just using the table of others survey and manipulating the numbers. That is not acceptable. It's not. It is totally unethical. So you have changed one number, instead of 39, you are writing 41. That is not true. That data will not be true. If the questionnaire which you have distributed to the society, to your respondents, instead of giving to different people, you are giving 10 or 15 questionnaire to the same people to fill it. That is also not ethical, and that is not will not give you the exact result. So, second is originality and plagiarism. You know what is plagiarism?
Yes.
Copy it. If you are using another author's work in your research, that is plagiarism. Is ChatGPT comes under plagiarism? Yes or no?
To some extent.
It's
To some extent.
to some extent. How?
It's a gray area. It's a gray area. Does not come fully in plagiarism, but it copies most of its content is from online and things are replaced. So it comes in a gray.
It comes under the plagiarism, the chat GPT. If you are using chat GPT, directly copying from chat GPT to your research, that comes under the plagiarism. Unless you are doing paraphrasing. If you can take the matter from there, you can take the help of the GPT, but you have to paraphrase that work. Then it will not be in plagiarism. Otherwise, it will be in plagiarism. So originality and plagiarism is another key aspect, and authors must avoid plagiarism by properly citing all sources and giving credit to the work of others. If you are not giving citation of the author whose work you are using in your research, then it will come under the plagiarism and it will be unethical. Authorship responsibility is the third key aspect. You can note down. Okay, it's the third. It is not there in the PPT. That's why I have taken it. I could not get time to put it into the PPT. Authorship responsibility. Only those who have significantly contributed to the research should be listed as authors, and all co-authors must approve the final version of the manuscript which you are using. The next important key aspect is acknowledgement of sources. I yesterday told you, when you are using any table or any figure or any diagram, any picture from the Google, you have to give the source to the figure. Otherwise, it will come under the plagiarism and it will not be acceptable. So you have to acknowledge. Proper acknowledgement must be given to all contributors, funding agencies, if they are, and institutions that supported your research. For example, ICSR or some projects given by the UP government, you have to mention that. And this is you are utilizing the public fund, so you should be fair. The results which you are giving to your research, that must be fair. Avoiding duplication or duplicate submission, sorry. Avoiding duplicate submission, author should not submit the same manuscript to the multiple journals simultaneously to publish the same research in multiple journals without proper justification. So if you are giving the same paper to the two different journals, that is also not allowed, and it will come under the plagiarism. And if it once it is published and you are thinking that this paper this journal is not good, I have to send it to some other journal, very good journal, after making minor changes, that is also comes under the plagiarism. It will not be published. It will come under the plagiarism. Conflict of interest, we will discuss this in detail in the PPT. So authors, reviewers, and editors must disclose any financial or personal relationship that could bias their work. Their work. So this is also another key aspect of publication ethics. Ethical research practices, research involve humans, animals, or sensitive data must comply with ethical standards, including obtaining informed consent and necessary approval from the agencies which allow the use of animals. Reviewers ethics is another key aspect. That is, the reviewers must provide the constructive and unbiased feedback. If you are giving to the reviewer your paper or your research work is given to the reviewer, he must also not bias and must give their comments in a fair manner. Respect confidently and avoid conflict of interest. Editorial responsibility is another key aspect. Editors should ensure a fair peer review process, uphold confidently, and take swift action to address ethical issues like plagiarism or fraud. No, it's a cheating. If you are using some other work, it's a cheating, it's a theft. So it's not a theft of a physical or tangible product, but it's a theft of intellectual theft. Okay. So, uh, retraction and corrections to insignificant errors or ethical branches and discovered post publication journals must issue corrections and retract the paper. So these are the key aspects of the ethical issues. We were talking about the animal issues. So animal welfare and ethical approval is important. If you are using animals in your experiments, the medical people who are sitting here, so or the science background, biological sciences research. So animal welfare and ethical approval is important. Ethical approval means all research involving animals must receive a prior approval from an institution, animal ethics committee, and equivalent body. This is important. If it is not allowed, then you cannot use that animal for your experiments. Welfare standards should be maintained. Authors must demonstrate that all experiments comply with relevant laws, guidelines, and ethical standards, such as 3 Rs: replace, reduce, and refine, is important. Human treatment, pain, suffering, and distress to animals must be minimized, and human endpoint must be established. Transparent reporting is also an ethical aspect related to the animals. Authors must provide a detailed and transparent account of the methods used, including the species, number of animals, and any procedure performed in using the animals. Animal use justification is also important, that the clear justification for the use of animals, the number you are using, and the scientific and societal value of the research. Adherence to the guidelines is important related to the animals. The compliance with established reporting standards such as the ARIVE, Animal Research Reporting of In Vivo Experiments. That is some society whose approval is important when you are using some animals in this in your research. So, so the publication ethics are rules of conduct generally agreed upon when publishing results of scientific research or other scholarly work. So generally it is a standard that protects intellectual property, IPR, and forbids the republication of another's work without proper credit. So if you are using the similar work, that is also not allowed and will not be published. It also forbids the use of plagiarism of another's efforts, data, and information published as original must in fact be original. These are the importance of research publication ethics. So very common, you can read it. So they promote the objective of research, such as expanding knowledge. If you are using some other's work, then what is new you are doing? You have to contribute to the knowledge, and that is possible only when you are using your original work. You are developing your original objective and formulating your hypothesis and giving results. So this is important that they promote the objective of research, such as expanding knowledge. Otherwise, the knowledge will be circulate around. है ना? The one thing one researcher has said, and that will be revolving. No new things are coming from that. If you are doing a review research or you are writing a review paper of the previous work, that also contribute. Okay, what the authors has given their findings and what is your finding on the basis of their papers. So what new you are doing, that is important. So they support the values required for collaborative work because today the research is collaborative. Okay? Collaborative. So that's why the citation is important. You know what is citation?
Yes.
What is citation? Hmm?
You mentioned the person you work together with in your public.
Giving the credit to the person from where we have this topic taken the content.
Okay, okay. Okay. In a reference, you are giving or referring some other's work, that is citation. And it will be increased if your work has been cited by many people. If your paper is cited by 10 people, then your citation will be 10. The citation is more important. There are a few things comes under this. Before giving the importance of the research publication, I would like to give you the uh, what is citation, what is H index, and what is I10. Have you heard this name? I10, H index. Hmm? What is I10? What is the H index? Citation, you know. Hmm? It is related to citation. What is H index?
So it measures the researcher's performance.
It measures the
Researcher's performance based on their publication and citation.
number of publications, based on the number of publications cited by others. So, for example, if a researcher has H index 10, it means that they have at least 10 papers with 10 more citations. 10 citations of a same paper is giving you H index 10. And I10,
So एक बार please वापस से-
if your paper is cited 10 times, if your single paper cited 10 times, then you will come to 1 I10. Okay? If it is cited by, your 15 papers is cited by 10, then your I10 will be 15. Clear? The I10 is given by this Google Scholar. It is a citation of a Google Scholar. So the second is to support the values required to collaborative work, such as mutual respect and fairness. So this is essential because scientific research depends on collaboration between researchers and groups. So that is very important from the point of view of the plagiarism, that if you are not doing new, then you will be revolving in that particular group and there nothing new will come for the society. So they represent that the researchers can be held accountable for their action. Many researchers are supported by public money, as I told you. If the ICSSR, ICMR, they are giving you money for project, so that is the public money. You should not waste that money by doing the similar work. The work should be new and that is be useful for the society. The purpose should be solved. So, So they represent that the researchers can be held accountable for their actions if they are cheating. Many researchers are supported by public money, as I told you, and regulations on conflict of interest, misconduct, and research involving human and animals are necessary to ensure that money is spent appropriately. So they ensure that these are the importance. They ensure that the public can trust research. The work which you have done, it should be trusty work. Must be must have the trust. The people must have the trust in the researcher. So for people to support and fund research, they must be confident in it. They support important social and moral values such as the principles of doing no harm to others. So these are the basic importance of the publication ethics. There is a code of ethics. So government agencies who fund or commission a research often publish code of conduct for researchers or code of ethics. That is very important part. You can go through the site of the UGC and can learn more about the code of ethics. For example, the US National Institute of Health, NIH, and Food and Drugs Administration, FDA, in India, CSIR guidelines for ethics in research, in governance, UGC, good academic research practices, GARP, UGC care. This is also, you know that UGC care listed journals, group 1, group 2, group 3. So they depends upon the originality of the work and the importance of the work and the citations of the journals. Hmm? The impact factor of the journal, that depends upon that. So all published ethical codes, some ethical codes may have the force of law behind them. So while others may simply be advisable. So there are certain ethical issues which are bound you to be taken some serious issues by the court of law. There are certain general ethical policies like authorship statement, declaration, or substantive contribution signed by the authors. The authors must sign the copyright form of if you are writing a research paper, the journal or the publisher will get it signed by you, a copyright form. That is the authorship statement which say that the work is original. And when you submit the thesis, you write a declaration that the work you have done in this university in your thesis is your original work. It's not being copied by you from any other's author's work. So that is the authorship statement. Conflict of interest statement is also required. Declaration of real and apparent conflict of interest. Nobody can show after that this work is done by me and it has been taken by your the scholar. So in language comprehensible to average reader, signed by all the authors. Redundant publication statement. This is also a declaration that the work has not been published previously in whole or in a part in any research, any thesis, or any journal, or any article. Human or animal subject statement, declaration that the study was reviewed by the ethical review committee, who are bound to be involved in the human and animal subject statement. Duplication or duplicate submission, this I have already told you. The declaration that the work has not been published or in short being considered for publication by another journal. This has also been told you. These are the 5 unethical practices to avoid while publishing your work. So this is basically given by the medical research, but it is also applicable in all the researches. Authorship conflict, since authorship should be based on the contribution provided by each author who has made a significant scientific contribution to the study. So the credit of authorship has important academic, social, and financial implication and is bound by guidelines of each and every organization who are funding you or giving you, like in your research, in thesis, PhD research, the Integral University, which aid in preserving transparency during writing and publication of research material so as to prevent violation of any ethics. So many journals have tools and processes in place to identify researchers that engage in unethical behavior. So if you are caught, your misconduct manuscript may be rejected without review, and your institution be informed that your scholar has taken certain material or data or figure from any other's work, and the university may take action against you while you are using unethical practices in your thesis. So be sure that whatever you uh, take from, you have to cite that, and you cannot take the entire text or entire material or entire data unless it is allowed. You can take the data from the RBI if your secondary data based work. If your work is secondary data based, then you can take the secondary data, but you have to give proper citation of that. These are the ethical issues or the seven deadly sins of the authors. Their carelessness means citation, bias, understatement, negligence, redundant publication, same tables or literature review reported without nothing prior source. This is redundant publication. Unfair authorship means failure to include eligible authors, honorary authors in your work. Undeclared conflict of interest, failure to cite funding source, from where you are getting the fundings that you have not cited in your thesis. Human or animal subject violation, no approval from review board or ethics committee related to animals or human. Plagiarism, reproducing others' work or ideas without as one's own. There are certain other frauds also: fabrication, falsification of data, misappropriation of others' ideas. In your own language, you can change the language of others through paraphrasing softwares, and that is also not allowed. That comes into the similarity index when you will get the plagiarism report through softwares. Duplicate submission or publication means duplicate publication involves publishing the same information in the similar layout. Layout also not changed. Even the font has also not changed. So in more than one journal, internet or any other form of resources comes under the duplicate submission. So all the authors need to be practice of one submission, single submission of single manuscript to one journal at a time, and no resubmission of to another journal until a written rejection has been received from that journal. आपने कोई पेपर भेजा है कहीं और जब तक उसकी कोई रिजेक्शन का लेटर या एक्सेप्टेंस का नहीं आया है, आप उसको किसी दूसरे जर्नल में नहीं भेज सकते, तब तक वो माना जाएगा कि वो दिस इज has been submitted for that particular journal only. So at once you can submit paper in one journal. So the main accountability for preventing duplicity of publication remains with the author. So the following list of prominent criteria which are necessary to consider the article as duplicate are identical content, highly similar articles with minimal modifications. The entire article you have taken and only change the headings and manipulate the data and take the different figure and you have submitted to another journal. That is unethical. Will comes under the ethical. So several articles when one is enough. Sequential articles about the development of work. Similar articles for various disciplines. So these are that comes under the duplicate work. Falsification and fabrication is another issue, ethical issue. So the integrity of research depends on integrity of the data and the data record. So as falsification and fabrication call into question the integrity of data and the data record. So they represent serious issue in scientific ethics. Falsification, on the other hand, is the practice of omitting or altering research material of others, equivalent data, or processes in such a way that the result of the research are no longer accurately reflected. So, reflected in the research report. So, this comes under the falsification. Fabrication is the practice of inventing data or result and recording and reporting them in the research record. So both of these schemes, falsification and fabrication, are probably among the most serious offenses in scientific research as they challenge the credibility of everyone and everything involved in the research efforts. So this is also one of the unethical issue that is generally found in researches, that the fabrication of data and falsification of information. Plagiarism, you know, so plagiarism is an act when you take someone's work, take a part of someone's work in your own work, research work, and try to pass it off as your own by paraphrasing. Is paraphrasing allowed? Ethical or unethical?
Paraphrase and cite.
Paraphrasing is ethical?
If you paraphrase, then you cite the person.
Cite.
Yes.
If you are citing everything, if you are paraphrasing, then how can you cite? So text you should not take, but if something you are looking that it is good that we should mention in our thesis, then you can paraphrase that, only that part, and also cite in your reference. Otherwise, it is unethical and it is also illegal. So, in legal terms, plagiarism is considered literary theft. This is a very good term, literary theft. If you knowingly use another person's work without giving them credit, you are committing plagiarism. Plagiarism also extends to ideas and products, taking someone's original idea or product and passing it off as your own. This is not similarity but a clear plagiarism. So you can see in the figure that he is writing and taking the text from others. So when you are accused of plagiarism, you are accused of stealing because you are committing an act of fraud. So you are not only stealing the work, product or original idea of other person, but you are lying about doing so afterwards. So the ethics of plagiarism is merely the ethics of stealing. This is clearly theft. Okay. These are the different types of plagiarism. This question comes under the coursework exam generally. Direct plagiarism. Direct plagiarism is the word for word transcription of a section of someone else's work without attribution and without quotation marks. You are directly copying and pasting some other works in your work. So the deliberate plagiarism of someone else's work is unethical, academically dishonest, and grounds for disciplinary action by the one whose work you have taken. This is the self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism क्या होता है? Occurs when a scholar submit his or her own previous work. He has written a research paper and using the same text or same thing in another paper, which is a slightly changed, that is self-plagiarism, and mixes part of previous work without plagiarism, without permission from all professors involved in that or all authors involved in that paper. If I have written a paper with two more people, and I am writing another paper as a single author, and I am using the text from there or the material from that, that is not allowed. That is unethical. Mosaic plagiarism. Mosaic plagiarism occurs when someone borrows phrases, ideas, or concept. These three important things from a source without using quotation mark, or finds synonyms for the author's language while keeping to same general structure and meaning of the original. So sometimes called patch writing. Patch writing. This patch writing or mosaic plagiarism is the same. This kind of paraphrasing, whether intentional or not, is academically dishonest and punishable. So what is mosaic plagiarism? The theft of ideas, concept, or phrases from any source. There is accidental plagiarism. Accidental plagiarism occurs when a person neglects to cite their source, for misquotes their source, or unintentionally paraphrases a source by using similar words, group of words, and or sentences structured without attribution. This is accidental paraphrasing, plagiarism. So cases of accidental plagiarism are taken as seriously as any other plagiarism and are subject to the same range of consequences as the other type of plagiarism faces. So this is also one of the type of the plagiarism. Now come to the conflict of interest. What is conflict of interest? Conflict of interest, also called competing interest, as defined as financial, personal, social, or other interests that directly or indirectly influence the conduct of the author. This is called conflict of interest with respect to a particular manuscript which you are writing. So having competing interest in a product or a device under consideration is considered unethical. We're talking, please. So this is also conflict of interest is also unethical. What do you understand by conflict of interest from this paragraph? What is competing interest? Competing interest in a product or a device under consideration is not considered unethical. However, failure to disclose such hidden interest severely jeopardize the outcome reported in a paper The once disclosed, it is the discretion of the readers to determine the influence of the conflict of interest on the conclusions of the paper. Conflict of interest, in other words, we can say that if you are using the funds of a particular organization and you are not citing that in your research, that if this research is based on ICMR or CSIR or whatever, then it will be a conflict of interest on the side of that funding organization. Conflict of interest statement is required to be put in the project or a research work which you are doing. If it is funded, that is the financial conflict of interest. There may be a personal conflict of interest and social conflict of interest also. So all manuscripts for articles, original research reports, editorials, comments of the reviewers or reviews, book reviews, and letters that are submitted to the journal must be accompanied by a conflict of interest disclosure statement. There is a paper required. आपने बुक्स में देखा होगा कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट का एक पेज प्रीफेस के बाद या कहीं लगा होता है ना, that is an important document which is to be signed by that organization who can question on you. So all the articles that are published in the journal must be accompanied by this conflict of interest disclosure statement or a statement that the author have replied that they have no conflict of interest to declare. If this statement is given by the organization or the people whose work you are using, or on the same line you are doing the same research or future research, further research, then this conflict of interest is required. If journal prints unsigned editorials, they should not have been written by anyone with a conflict of interest. Examples, please. I have given certain examples of conflict. I'm not sure. What Okay, I'll give some examples. Now, the next is the commercialization of a research work. What is commercialization of a research work?
Marketing the work.
Marketing or no production.
Selling define this.
If somebody is utilizing your idea for production of a device, your research which you have developed, that is also the commercialization. The commercial, nobody can use your idea, use your research part or the device developed by you for commercialization of the product. So commercialization of a research result is a process through which the knowledge produced at universities and research bureau or institutions is changed into industrial processes or products offered to the market. So this process requires serious cooperation and interaction among the higher educational centers where the device or the piece of research has been developed. The research bureau affiliated to the government, industrial companies, industrial companies, organization, financial firms, investors, entrepreneurs, and academic individuals. So whatever is involved in that research, that has to be take proper permission from that and involve that institute or organization in commercialization of that idea or the piece of research in in the market. So there is a growing evidence that the pressure to commercialize is directly or indirectly associated with adverse impact on the research environment. Science hype, premature implementation of translation of research results, loss of public trust in the university research enterprise, research policy conflict and confusion, and damage to the long-term contribution of university and researchers. So whatever organization, for example, if some research has been developed in IIT Delhi, that has to be mentioned by the companies who are using that idea or that research work. The name of the IIT Delhi, developed by IITians of IIT Delhi. So in India, however, the linkage between research institutes and industry remain patchy. Um, in foreign universities in India also, there are certain labs or there are certain institutes sponsored by the industrial organizations. In in our university, the IBM I think has sponsored a lab, computer lab in CS department. I think so. Whatever we have to develop, that will be utilized by the IBM. The ideas or the software will be developed in that particular lab will be utilized by the IBM. So like the chemical companies, pharmaceutical companies, they also sponsored labs in pharmaceutical institutes or of the university or the organization to develop new medicines in that particular lab that will be utilized for commercially by these companies like Pfizer or one consulting company, Cipla. They sponsored the lab in different certain universities, normally in government universities. Maruti Suzuki, they give certain instruments to the labs to develop automobile parts. So these are the cooperation between the industry and the institution in order to develop the new researches and that to be utilized for commercialization. In India, however, the linkage between the research institutes and industry remain patchy. On one hand, scientists are typically focused on core science and may not want to work with startups and industry at large. We have developed the incubation center here in this university to develop the entrepreneurs. You can visit the third floor of the main building. There is a very good incubation center where those who want to become an entrepreneur, they can get trained and they will get help how to get the funds for starting their venture. So this is important that part, and that is not if you are cooperating with that in your commercialization, that is not unethical. So moreover, commercialization of their research is not among their important goals, says Anand Nand Kumar, Associate Professor, Indian Institute of Business in Hyderabad. What is copyright? You take the copyright of your own work. So if you have written a book, you can take the copyright of that. There is another word, trademark, copyright, intellectual property, IPR. These are the similar terms that have been used in academic work or researches. So copyright laws protect the creators of original work. Nobody can take the copyright of your research original work. You know, by giving them certain exclusive rights over their work. patent. So, in general, copyright owners enjoy the right to display or perform the work, distribute the work, create derivatives work, and reproduce the work. So, the copyright owner also has the right to give others same or all these rights by granting a copyright license and transforming ownership of the copyright completely or partially to any organization if you are into joint venture. If you are doing as a partner in some commercial work, then you can partially give your copyright. So the Copyright Act 1957, as amended by the Copyright Amendment Act 2012, governs the subject of copyright law in India. We are talking about India, we are not talking about your country. What is the copyright law? Is there. So copyright protection is provided under the Copyright Act 1957, where it confers protection to the copyrights automatically as soon as the software code gets embodied on any tangible medium like ROM, paper, magnetic tape, etc. So the registration of such work maintains a public record in the register of copyrights, which includes the title's name and author's name in the index. So copyright notice consists of four elements. The letter C in a circle. And I have seen there is a C in a circle. That is a copyright C. The word. First publication, year of the work, owner's name, mean author's name or owner's name, all right reserved at the end. This has been written in the copyright. What is royalty? Royalty is always given to those who have copyright. So when a book publisher contracts with an author to publish a book, in essence, the author who is the copyright holder of that particular book, so grants the publisher the right to publish the work for an agreed upon amount and of money. So this money is called a royalty, which has been expressed as a percentage of sales. If 10 books have been sold and the price of a book is 200 rupees and 20 rupees, if it is 10% and 20 rupees per book will be paid to the author of that book. That is the royalty. So you don't know if you are writing the general books, then you will have the chances to get royalty. If you are writing the reference book, then there are very less chances to get the royalty. So try to write general books, core subject books, if you want to get royalty. So like points related to the book delivery and right assignments, the royalty rates are outlined in the book contract. Book publisher have standardized rates of royalties for various editions of the work. And, do you heard the name of franchisee?
Yes, sir.
Huh? What the franchisor get? That is also royalty. Huh? The KFC of USA, they get royalty from all over the world
Yes.
through the joint ventures because they have given their copyright, patent, or the trademark also to the different franchisees, and they are running the business and they agreed upon paying a certain amount on that and also maintain the quality standards of the Starbucks by Tata. Huh? Starbucks by Tata.
Skin color.
So, in certain, service industries also, this royalty has been paid. New York Life Insurance Company. So that is also royalty in other terms. So, a publisher pays authors royalties in exchange for the rights to publish their work in book form. So royalty rates are percentage of the book sales and they are entirely negotiable. Intellectual property right, IPR, are the rights given to the persons over the creation of their minds. This is paid to the intellectuals. This is issued to the intellectuals. So they usually give the creator an exclusive right over the use of his or her creation for certain period of time. How many years you can use this formula of developing a medicine? That is the intellectual property right, and the rights of the authors of literary and artistic work such as book and other writing, musical composition, painting, sculpture, computer programs, softwares, films, uh, any other thing, anything that can comes into the intellectual property right are protected by copyright. So for a minimum period specified years, right, 60 in case of India. So after the death of the author, the copyright protection varies in various countries. So intellectual property is recognized as an important tool to economic growth. ये एग्जाम में आता है. It comes into the exam. The different to differentiate copyright, intellectual property right, all these things. You have to go through these notes, and you know, it is important. So the copyright system is based on the belief that creators of the intellectual work need an incentive to create and to be creative. This can only be done by protecting his or her creation from violation, and so the purpose of IPR is absolute protection. These are the different types of intellectual property right. One is the patent. You know patent? What is patent and how it to be patented? There is an organization of Government of India who grant you patent or publish you. First, they will publish you, and then they will grant you. After inspection or this idea is totally new and it can be granted, then government grant you. So the granted patents are more important than the published patents. So a patent is used to prevent an invention from being created, sold, or used by another party without permission. So patents are the most common type of intellectual property rights that come to people's mind when they think of intellectual property rights protection. A patent owner has every right to commercialize his or her patent, including buying and selling the patent or granting a license to invention to any third party under mutually agreed terms. So you can sold your patent also to some commercial organization on agreement of royalty to develop a product or a device to sell or commercialize in the market. So if you have proper grant of your patent is already granted, and you have the certificate of grant of patent, then that can be transferred to third party on the basis of mutual agreement. So there are three different categories that the patent can fall under. Utility patent. A utility patent protects the creation of a new or improved product, process, composition of matter or machine that is useful. An example of the utility patent is method for a driver assistance system of vehicle. That is utility patent. A utility patent protects the creation of a new or improved product, process, composition of matter, or a machine that is useful. Design pattern. A design patent protects the ornamental design on a useful item. An example of design patent is electric bicycle. This is the number which is to be given to the patent holder. A plant patent protects new kinds of plants produced by cuttings or other non-sexual means. So an example of a plant patent, what is this? Crapulin tile plant named JMI. These are the patent which has already been granted uh, in the example. The next is the trademark. Trademark is the logo which has been patented by any organization. So trademark are another familiar type of intellectual property rights protection. A trademark is a distinctive sign which allows consumers to easily identify the particular goods. It's a hockey, Nike, Adidas, there is a logo. Integral University has a logo. So you can get your own logo also patented. So that is nobody else can use that trademark for their organization. Like some examples include McDonald's, Golden Arc, the Facebook logo. So these are so on. A trademark can come in the form of a text, phrase, symbol, sound also, smell also, and color scheme. These are different types of patents. Nobody can make a same fragrance who has a copyright of that particular perfume. So unlike patents, a trademark can protect a set of class of products or services instead of just one product or process. As explained above, copyright does not protect ideas, rather it only covers tangible form of creations and original work, for example, art, music, architectural drawings, or any software codes. The copyright owner has the exclusive right to sell, publish, and reproduce any literary, musical, dramatic, artistic, or artificial um, work created by others. Industrial design is a production technique of a creation of product article. For example, a furniture company could come up with a new way of making a sofa come bed, and many want to protect it from being copied by someone else. So this is also comes under the patent of industrial design. While talking, you just read it. What is written here? It is important. I told you already. Told you it is important that it comes under the exam. So it's not very difficult. It's easy, but you have to know the difference between all these. You must know the difference of all these and try to get some examples from the Google or write an example. For example, the copyright, industrial design, all these. I have given the example. So in other words, in other countries, patent may also well do the trick. This is also geographical identification, GI note also you can see on different products. So certain products are tied to certain geographical location. No other location can be used that particular intellectual property right. And producers many want intellectual property protection to ensure that product from other areas do not misuse this indicator. For example, you have taken the geographical identification in India, the same cannot be used in America. The same cannot be used in another country. In some products, you find this GI tag, and in some products, you find GI tag, especially the industrial machinery, especially the computer softwares, computers. On this geographical identification sign is there. For instance, basmati rice has been registered under the Department of Commerce in India as a product with a geographical identification. I have given the example. So this tag is given only to this variety of rice grown in several states in the foothills of the Himalayas. Citations, we have already have an explanation of that. Is the way you tell your readers that certain material in your work come from another source. You cite that at the last or in middle of the text. In the review of literature, you have to write the reference as a footnote in some scientific research, and at the end in the uh, bibliography part as a reference or in a referencing part. It also gives your reader the information necessary to find that source again, including information about the author, the title of the book, the name and location of the company that published your copy of the source, the date your copy was published, the page number of the material you are borrowing from there, that is to be cited in the reference. Why should I cite a source? Giving credit to the original author. In the citation, he can increase the citation. And some people have 1,000 citations. So why they have 1,000 citations? 1,000 people already, 1,000 papers already mentioned his name, his work in their research. That comes to 1,000. Giving credit to the original author by citing source is the only way to use other people's work without plagiarizing. But there are a number of other reasons to cite sources. What are these reasons? Citers are extremely helpful to anyone who wants to find out more about your ideas and where they come from. Not all sources are good or right. Your own ideas may often be more accurate or interesting than those of your sources. Paper citation will keep you from taking the rap of someone else's bad ideas. Earlier, the recruiters of the teachers, they ask for how many papers you have. Now they ask how many citations you have. How many citations you have in Google Scholar, how many citations you have in Scopus, in Web of Science. So that is the difference. Means your work is important, but what is the quality of your work? That can be judged through citations. That can be judged through I-10 or H-index. So now in foreign countries, in Dubai especially in my line management, they ask for citations, they ask for I-10, they ask for papers in Scopus through Orchid ID. They check all these things online. They check. Uh, they don't take your CV. They only want your Orchid ID, and they can get the data from there. So that is important. Why this citation is important? This is all about this. Acknowledgement, acknowledging the work of others is important and is an ethical part. So work of others must always be given. Authors should cite publication that have been influential in determining the nature of the reported work, information obtained privately as the conversation, correspondence, or discussion with the third party must not be used or reported without explicit written permission from source. So information obtained in the course of confidential services such as referring manuscript or grant application must not be used without the explicit written permission of the author of that particular work involved in these cases. So this is all about your publication ethics and your fifth unit, I think. Go through these notes thoroughly. Is there any question? Yes.
सर अगर हम किसी का डेटा जैसे मान लीजिए कोई रिसर्च हो और उसका जो रॉ डेटा उससे मांग लेते हैं क्या उसमें रिसर्च है
If it is their primary data, then you can use that data as your secondary data. In a comparative study or any kind of thing, you can use that data but give proper referencing source that this table has been taken from this source. for comparison with my original data which I have collected against that. So that is allowed. Plagiarism is not, I mean, anything which you are using is not unethical if you are giving proper reference. If you are not giving reference, if you are not giving proper citation of that, then it is unethical practice. So I think your research methodology course has been completed, or the computer part is left, I think so. So that will be taken by Taslim sir from the next Friday. Next Friday, I don't know if there is a class or not because the holidays start from Wednesday.
Will do a class online.
Online, I don't know because it's not my topic. It's a topic of another teacher, computer teacher, and that class should be held in the computer lab. That is important because they will give you or teach you about the different software used in research. What are the different software, Excel, R software. He will talk about these software. There are certain other softwares also which use SPSS, etc. And proper utilization of that softwares and how you can practice that software is possible only in lab, I think. So there is no use of online classes of computer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. My name, my number. Yes. So I'll give you these. Group?
मुझे